prime or zoom? What do you think? Let's find out. You've seen the thumbnail, and yes, I have two Panasonic lenses here. And you all know that I'm an Olympus or OM guy. And you may wonder, why on earth am I looking at them rather than OM lenses? This is all because of you. I received many questions since the OM1 was released, asking if they can use Panasonic lenses on this new camera. So when today's sponsor MPB asked if I want to borrow some lenses, not only I said yes, but I also asked for Panasonic lenses, so I can use them on my OM1 and demonstrate that you can, indeed, use them on your Olympus or OM cameras. And second, I've always get questioned about prime against zooms. So I want to make this video, and I hope that when you finish watching, you'll have an understanding on either and what you should be choosing for your type of photography. On this note, today's video won't be possible without my sponsor MPB. MPB is a leading pre-loved gear specialist, and they have a vast selection of used equipment for sale, from high-end cine camera to Micro Four Thirds cameras to drones and even memory cards and batteries. So if you want to try something different and save a few bucks, or simply raising some cash for your next upgrade, like the OM1, and yes, you can sell your existing gear to MPB too. And for those who live outside the UK, well, MPB ships internationally, and they also have operations in UK, US and Germany. Getting itchy? I'll leave a link in the video description below, and you can spend some time check what they have later. As you can see here, I will be using two long tele lenses, the Panasonic Leica 200mm 2.8 with a 1.4 times teleconverter, and Panasonic Leica 100-400 f4-5.6, together with my OM system OM1 for demonstration. And remember, this video is not aiming to review either of these lenses or my OM1. It is made with an aim to make you understand the differences between a prime and zoom, highlighting their strengths and weaknesses and their respective applications. Before I start, I want to go through some technical differences between these two lenses. And similar to OM's equivalent, the 200mm 2.8 prime is a pro grey lens with full weather sealing and premium optic elements. The 100-400 zoom is a prosumer lens, no weather sealing in this case, and has a variable aperture value in different focal length. Both do feature power OIS or in-built lens stabilization. And while the OM Sync IS won't work on either lenses, but you can choose to use either the lens IS or OM's in-body built-in stabilization. With geeky stuff out of the way, let's take some pictures and see which one is better and for what. One of the obvious differences between a zoom and a prime is optical flexibility. What I'm saying is the focal range. A zoom usually covers a range of distances, so you can achieve different results without moving an inch. And this is convenience, and perhaps easier for beginners and amateurs, who may not know exactly what they want in terms of framing. However, convenience comes at a cost, and that's speed or light gathering. This is when prime lenses come in. When a prime is very restricted in terms of focal range, which is fixed, and you can only change it by using a teleconverter when compatible. Unlike the Panasonic 200mm 2.8 here, it's sized around the same as a telezoom, but is a whole stop faster in aperture. There are also specific user cases for either also. A prime may have the advantage of being brighter and hence faster in capturing subjects, but its restrictive angular view means that such a lens is best for static subject or panning shots. It's definitely not great for capturing subjects that is running towards or away from you, especially when you are already in a very tight composition. A zoom, however, has the flexibility to adjust the angular view and accommodate subjects that are moving in any direction. A slight twist of the zoom ring, and you will be able to maintain the same framing to subject ratio. Now, I hope you start to get some ideas between the two types of lenses, but I bet you probably want to ask, why can't we have both in one lens? Well, the answer is, of course you can, but you probably have to pay for it, and quite handsomely too. And also, you may need to have the strength of a bodybuilder to use such a lens. An ultra-fast mega pro zoom will definitely cost you a soul to buy. You'll see a lot of pro sports and wildlife photographers use these bazookas around, and each can cost an upward of 20 grand. And due to their huge size and heavy weight, they're usually used in conjunction with monopods to ease the pain while photographing. So, this is not ideal for an average consumer, unless you have a wallet of a footballer. And therefore, for most hobbyists, they will settle with a prosumer zoom, so that they can enjoy photography without breaking the bank or getting a divorce. And also, relatively small size also means that these zoom lenses are easier to live with and to take on travels. But for those who know exactly what they want and the style and type of photography they do, a prime lens is often the default choice of weapon. But for these die-hard photographers, they usually have the telezoom too, just for those unexpected moments or circumstances so they can get everything covered. To summarize what I just said, a prime lens is for capturing subjects that stays in one focal plane, that runs across your eyes. And zoom lens is just that Swiss Army knife for capturing subjects that move in any directions. In Chinese, we have a saying, no needle is sharp at both ends. So one must choose the right tool for the right job. While a zoom seems to be a better solution to most, a few things you need to consider too. Even with today's ISO advancement, any discerning photographer would like to keep the ISO as low as possible to maximize the image quality a sensor can capture. And therefore, when the light dim, or when you need to raise the shutter speed to capture something that's moving really fast, a prime is always the lens that will give you better quality without increasing the ISO setting. With most variable aperture telezoom lenses with a 6.3 rating at the longest end, and that's a whole 2-stop disadvantage when compared to a 2.8 prime. To put you into perspective, you can use ISO 200 on a 2.8 prime instead of 800 on a 6.3 aperture zoom. You can also use 1/2000th of a second on a 2.8 prime instead of 1/500 on a 6.3 aperture zoom. And these setting differences can make or break an image in any given situations. And this is why most pros and series enthusiasts will have both prime and zoom lenses with them in any outings. So, to summarize, both prime and zoom lenses have their usage, advantages and disadvantages. I'll go as far as you can't just buy only one and ignore the other. And I'm not suggesting you buying both lenses unless you really need them. But a photographer must make up his or her mind and design based on situations and lighting conditions. Wildlife photography is no different to portraiture or macro photography. Well, this hobby can be expensive at times, but at the same time, it only gets more expensive if you want to be jack of all trades but master of none. To focus on the type of interest and photography you want, the gear you need are only a few. However, there are ways to save your wallet. If you have too many old gears lying around and want to cash in, or it is time to upgrade, you can give MPB a shout for a no obligation quote. Or if you want to try a different lens or camera without fuss, you can also rely on MPB's in-house specialist checks and rating on each item. Furthermore, you can get a 6-month warranty that's also extendable to 2 years, giving you even more cover if you're a careless type of photographer. So, thanks again for MPB's sponsorship that I get to try 2 of the most popular Panasonic tele lenses for wildlife photography. And as you can see, you can use any Micro Four Thirds lenses, including teleconverters between brands in Micro Four Thirds. And on the OM1, performance hasn't dipped a bit, both AF and IBIS performs flawlessly. And this brings to the end of this video, and hope you find it useful. And you know what to do now. Thumb if you liked it, and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, OM system. Don't forget to check out MPB. I have a link in the video description below. Peace. Plain. Whoa, that is awesome, man.